Welcome back to Investing with Confidence. I am your host, Joshua David, having a great time talking about the financial markets, but how to place odds in your favor in an investment plan and sticking to that plan. If you happen to miss 2 tickets for the investing class, call 952-814-4410. You can also text the word invest to the number 484848. If you're just tuning in, Al will shed in some light about those odds, how to have 3 pillars of trading and investing, having those odds, strict rules within a plan, and the discipline to follow that plan. It's about supply and demand. It's understanding where prices may turn and where they may go.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, that's a tough word to say, isn't it?
For you, apparently it is.
You're right, it is. There you wanted to get into, mention in the last segment why there's a gap between your financial expectations and really the reality of where you actually are. There's a wide gap.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people that are listening just don't understand why there's a gap, but they also want to understand, okay, how can I close that gap?
Correct.
So what are some of the things that they can do?
Yeah. And what do people do? They look at what the market has done, what the market is doing, and then they look at their portfolios and they look at the difference. The S&P 500 just finished I think the second best half since 1998 as far as their performance. That's huge. There were as of the last jobs report, there was I think 5 or 6 consecutive records set on the S&P 500.
Something like that.
Daily
yeah.
records. It's unbelievable. So people are looking at that and they're thinking, boy, I must be doing really well. And the reality is that they're not. I mean, even if you look at the NASDAQ over the last 10 years, the average annual return has been close to 78%. Most people look at their portfolios, and if they're up 7 or 8%, they're happy. But number one, you need to know where your money is. And we talk about where your money is might be what's holding you back. A lot of people have no idea, truthfully, where their money is invested, especially in retirement accounts. Almost 50% of retirees don't know what they're invested in. So you can't really expect to do well if you don't know what you have and you don't know how to manage it properly.
Think about that for a second. If you don't know where you are putting your hard-earned money, if you don't know where that's at, there's a problem there.
Yeah.
That's not comforting to me. And I think that's why a lot of people can't sleep at night, because they just don't know where their investments are.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's one of those things that we've been conditioned to follow. You've just put your money with Wall Street, put your money with an advisor or in a 401k, and you'll do fine. The market always performs well over time. And if you look at any 10, 20-year rolling period, the market probably is up in any one of those periods. That doesn't mean it's up, as where you expected it to be. But you have to understand that most of the people that are in the markets have been told to put their money somewhere by someone.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes it's that someone who needs you to, in many cases, be on the opposite side of the trade from them. Wall Street, the big institutions control 90% of the market activity, which means oftentimes you as a retail trader, the public, are going to be in the opposite side of that trade.
That's unfortunate, Alan. I kind of talked about on the last segment. I said, don't be conditioned to do that.
Right.
How do people get out of that rut? How do people, I guess, not be stuck in having that gap between the reality and their expectations?
Well, number one, get the proper education that shows you how the markets function, why price changes, who impacts the price change. Think about where people get their education. In the schools? No, not in the high schools, not in colleges. Most people make their choices maybe based on something a neighbor said, or they put their money with someone they don't know, a financial advisor who they just assume is going to have their best interest at heart. Yeah, but when you think about it, who really has your best interest in it? Who really thinks more about your assets, your finances, than you? There is somebody, actually. It's your kids.
That's true. That's true.
For a lot of kids, that you are their retirement. But here's the key. Let's keep it simple. Price typically just goes from areas, or what we call zones, where buy orders exist, and zones where sell orders exist. And they go back and forth. They go from buy zones to sell zones back to buy zones. So wouldn't it be important to be able to identify those zones? That's exactly what the core strategy does. It qualifies them, and there's a number of things, and we actually call them odds enhancers, that puts the odds in your favor that you're going to be able to identify, the price that you want to buy something, the price you want to sell something that gives you the highest probability of it succeeding in your favor with, and this is really key, the lowest risk entry point, because risk is the number one thing you want to manage.
You're right. And imagine that odds being one of those pillars. That's one of the first things in the core strategy that our sponsor,
Right.
Online Trading Academy, has. Well, Al, that gap seems like it's widening for a lot of people. I mean, especially this past year, and people are just starving for income right now. They just don't have enough, and they're looking for different avenues. Some people are looking, at the financial markets to have that potential. Well, there's opportunities in the financial markets, but you need to understand the rules and the tools to use to get there. And our sponsor, Online Trading Academy, has different tools to help people make better investing decisions, help people keep within, eliminating emotions, investing with consistency. So, Al, I want to give away some tickets to an investing class that we do right here at the Academy in Bloomington. We do them during the week. We also do these on the weekend, and these are free. They're only 2 hours. So if you want to understand and learn more about the techniques and strategies that Online Trading Academy teaches, you have to get started. And it starts in these investing classes. If you're that person that wants to understand and be that steward of your family and your money, do that now. So callers 1 through 10, you're going to receive 2 tickets plus the financial quick start kit. And this kit will actually help you get started right away. Call 952-814-4410. That's 952-814-4410. Ali mentioned just now that Americans are starving for income, and it's unfortunate, right? So they are looking at the market to have income potential. I mean, the stats are is people are coming into the market at a record pace. They're doing that without the proper tools, right? You need the proper tools, but you need the right assets as well. We talk a lot about the stock market, how great that is for longer term investing and stuff like that. But we have other assets that are phenomenal. Futures and Forex are 2 of the main ones I think a lot of people want to know more about. What are the opportunities with them? How can you use them? Is there opportunities while I'm not at work? Let's talk about those a little bit.
Well, you use the word income. Think about it. Where does your income come from? For most people, it comes from their job. And for about 78% of the people in the country, the income from that job isn't enough to cover everything that they have or they want or they need to have covered. Even if you have a very attractive income level, maybe you're in the mid 6-figure income or somewhere in that 6-figure income level, still that 78% that I talked about, that includes people like that, because what happens as your standard of living goes up along with your increase in income, and the bills are still there. The bills come in, they just have maybe an extra 0 after them. So if the income from a job isn't enough to cover everything, what do? Do you get a second job or a third job? That's not a plan that is very attractive. But the truth is that the majority of the people in the world that are financially secure, financially comfortable, have multiple sources of income, multiple sources of cash coming in. And that doesn't have to be, and it isn't multiple jobs. You mentioned Forex and futures. Options is another one. Those are vehicles that can be used for short-term trading. Why is that important? Well, think about your job. How often do you get paid? You get paid once every 10 years or 20 years or 30 years? No, you get paid maybe once a month, twice a month, maybe weekly. And the reason that is the way it's done is because you have short-term needs. To fulfill the short-term needs, you need to have access to additional cash on a short-term basis. Futures and Forex options can be used short-term. Options and Forex, that's the foreign exchange market, can be used more long-term also. There's a number of things that you can use these assets for different market conditions and different goals that you have. Everybody has different goals. But if you need to access additional money now, a lot of people are looking at the markets because what are the other alternatives? The other alternatives are very minimal. Maybe it's selling something online. Maybe it's real estate, which usually involves some extra money or a lot of time and a lot of headaches because of renters if you're renting properties. The markets are great because you can do that when you want to. If you don't want to work for a while, if you don't want to spend time trading, you don't have to. There's no employees. But the short-term trading vehicles give you the opportunity to access cash on a short-term basis. You have that potential. They also, and this is huge, and this is one of the reasons that, or one of the ways that maybe you can bridge that gap between where you are and what your expectations are, is to use leverage.
Yeah.
Leverage is a huge, huge benefit to people.
What does leverage really mean, though?
Yeah, basically what it means is it's like a magician taking a dollar that you give them and they turn it into $50 or
Okay.
$100. That's leverage. But leverage is like a mortgage. You don't have to, if you want to buy a $400,000 or $500,000 house, you don't have to plop down $400,000 or $500,000 out of your pocket. You can take out a mortgage. That $500,000 is covered by a down payment of maybe $40,000. Now you control a $400,000 asset for $40,000. That's leverage.
Yeah, so the magician isn't giving you money; they are allowing you to use purchasing power.
Yeah,
is what it really
exactly.
means.
It's just boosting the value of your dollar. It's maximizing the benefit of every dollar that you have, and by doing that, you have the opportunity to have a smaller amount of money that can control a much larger investment. The real benefit there is that the rate of return that you can get is much greater because you're looking at the growth of something that might be 50 times higher than your initial investment, that margin investment that you
And
that you
basically
have.
using a smaller amount of capital than the stock market would require because you have that
Absolutely,
leverage.
right.
Well, a lot of people work during the week. There's opportunities in the evening. They're open 24 hours a day.
Futures and Forex trade futures 23 hours, 45 minutes, Forex 24 hours a day. That gives you huge opportunities to not have to be available just 6.5 hours during the stock market
Yeah.
hours.
And I think a lot of people like that because we talk to a lot of people here at Online Trading Academy, and some people they're fresh in the morning. They want to be able to do some investing or some investments in the morning before they go to
Sure.
work. Some people want to do that in the evening. Some people are night owls, like to do it in the middle of the night. So there's opportunities with these markets 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
So you have the leverage, you have the 24-hour market, so you have the opportunity to trade and invest any time of day. Well, with options, that's the same thing. You have the leverage there as well, right?
Absolutely. You have great leverage. The returns, the profit potential is actually even boosted more. Kind of a rule of thumb is if the underlying, because you trade an option on something, on an underlying, like a stock or an exchange traded fund. If the stock is up 10%, rule of thumb is that the option is going to be up probably 100% or more. So you get a great return potential. Plus, you can participate in a higher price stock with a much lower upfront investment with options.
Yeah, basically you can purchase stock at a discount by using the tool, we'll call it a tool of options.
Yeah.
Right.
People we're talking about terms that people are not familiar with. Don't worry about that. It's just that nobody's talked to you about them. That's what we do. We show you how they work. We show you what the advantages are. And then people decide which one fits in their plan and what to help them get to their expectations as most effectively as possible.
Yeah, you did mention, terms. They're new terms for a lot of people. And in these investing classes that you actually teach that we're seeing a lot of people coming into. We had a lot of people here, was it Wednesday?
Yeah.
This past Wednesday for this investing class, understanding the different terms, what they really mean, really so you can make better investing decisions if you're looking for that income potential. And Al teaches these investing classes right here in Bloomington. They're free. They're only 2 hours, maybe 2.5 or so if Al's teaching.
If people ask questions, and I'm more than happy to answer them.
But it's a great time, too, because you have a lot of fun talking about a fun topic, and that's the financial markets, the stock market, options, futures, and Forex. So callers 1 through 10, I want to invite you to this investing class right here in Bloomington. When you call in, mention the Financial Quick Start Kit. You're going to receive that when you attend. There's some different topics in there. There's investing time horizons. There's bond strategies, but also, is your 401k keeping pace with your age? So call 952-814-4410. That's 952-814-4410 for 2 tickets for the free investing class. Al, what do you got coming up next?
Well, with 401ks, you kind of brought up the retirement subject. So let's talk about why the Wall Street retirement recommendations many of you are following might ensure the fact that your retirement savings run out of time before you do.
That's an interesting topic. A lot of people want to understand more about 401ks, what's happening, and what they could potentially do differently. 952-814-4410 for 2 tickets for the investing class. We'll be right back.